Hi, I'm Steve Thompson, president of Emery Thompson Machine.
I'm Christi Brown, vice president of sales and marketing. And this is Sammy. Boop.
And that is Stella over there, but she just laid down where you can't see her. Welcome to Questions Answered. I guess I'll go first.
As
I have
always.
a bunch of little short things today. Do you finance? Yes, we do. Just call us, and when you're ready, we'll send a quote to you, and we'll send a quote to our finance company. We have one finance company we've used for the last 15 years, and the only one we accept. But the real question that was being asked me on this one was, how do I keep my Italian ices cold? I have a new push cart, and I want to go out with a little trailer and put the push cart on it and go to baseball fields and soccer games and all sorts of fun things. If I buy dry ice, which is expensive, the ice gets too cold. It just gets rock hard. If I freeze the ice down solid in my freezers at home, I'll have to wait a couple hours when I get there, and then it's going to start melting fast. So what do? You could invest in a Yeti cooler, and I think you told me once that Yeti makes, or someone makes a version of a Yeti sold at Walmart.
Ozark Trail, the Walmart brand.
That costs less. Mm-hmm. I would start with that, and then this is what I use. We bring our lunch to work every day, my wife and I, and this is called Arctic Ice. And these come in different sizes, and you freeze them down in your freezer. And this one's called the Tundra series, but they have ones that don't go as cold and ones that go colder. The colder your freezer, the colder this will get. It's got an antifreeze in it that will freeze. So if you take this down to 0, it's going to give you 1 level of cooling. If you take this down to 10 below, it'll really get cold. So if you had 3 or 4 of these, and again, they come bigger. If you had 3 or 4 of these in your cooler, you're going to go for a lot of hours. And then every night, you just take this. When you get back home, it's going to be liquid like this is right now. And you'll just freeze it rock solid. Very simple, very inexpensive. I bought them on Amazon. And the company is called Arctic, ARCTIC -ice, ICE.com. But if you forget the name, call Christi. She knows everything.
And then Steve also, taught me a trick to keep your ice packs on top of your product more than you would the bottom, because heat rises obviously, so you want to keep your product cold from the top down. Mine was asked, what is the minimum and the maximum you can put in a CB350? So just to put it into a good perspective, this is a 4-quart container. So the minimum you can put is 3.5, and the max is 4. If you start to play with inclusions and add cookies and a lot of candies or nuts and things like that, you can get away with dropping it down just a little bit more, like 3 1/3. But this is just to put it into perspective. It is a 6-quart finished capacity. That doesn't mean you put in 6 quarts of mix or 6 quarts of juice or 6 quarts of water. You put a max of 4 quarts total and a minimum of 3.5. And that'll keep your CB350 freezing everything you make. Because how many times have we gotten that call and they say that their machine won't freeze because
I
put 6 quarts.
Or I put 24 quarts of ice cream mix in and it won't freeze.
Yeah.
No, it yields 24 quarts,
Finished
or it yields 6 quarts. That's the important part. It yields that amount. We rate the machines on finished product.
Correct.
It's bucket day.
It's bucket day.
Yeah, I've got a bucket. The question was a really good one. As everybody knows, or if you don't try it at home. Have you ever dropped an egg on the floor in the kitchen? What a mess to try to clean up. Cold water just smears it all over the place. You're dipping it in here and you're smearing it everywhere. Well, the same thing with dairy product. Dairy product is higher in fat than, say, water, and so it tends to smear all over your floor, all over your machine. You want to clean out your machine, you need to pour some water. We can pour water directly into our batch freezers, turn it on, let it slosh around. But cold water, this is very cold, is not going to do the trick. If you put cold water into your machine, the mix is already cold. You're just going to have cold, sloshy water, and it's not going to cut through the butter fat. I have a general rule, and that is, let me go backwards. I go into some restaurants in New York City, and the water, you put your hand in, ow! It's like steam, it's so hot. That's not good for your machine. We don't want it. If you put your hand in there and you pull back in pain, it's too hot for the machine. However, hot water does a real fast cleanup. So unless I have run into someone who doesn't have any feeling in their hands, and then I'm in trouble. If you can put your hand into this water and it's very, very, very warm, without pulling back in pain, it's fine for your machine. Very, very, very warm water. I don't want to say hot because hot is ow. But very, very, very warm water is going to make the cleanup job so much easier. So go for that.
I also take Dawn dish soap and I just put a drop into the machine as well when I turn the dasher on, so it suds up a little bit. That helps with the grease too.
I did that. I put I just went there and held it
I could see
like that into it. And the suds that came out,
Keyword, a drop.
Yeah, because the amount that I put in, I mean, the whole room was filled with suds.
Yeah.
And then I called and said, hey, Christi, you mind cleaning up for me?
Yeah, well, a drop, guys, a drop of soap.
Yeah.
So another good question that I was asked is, how do you prevent your inclusions from sinking to the bottom of your cylinder? So sometimes, when you get done extracting your product, you'll notice a little handful of chocolate chips still left, or a handful of cookies. Same thing with nuts. So a good, easy way to, have them more, not so many left at the end of your batch, is to let your batch run for about 2 to 3 minutes. Let it get a little bit thick, because when you first start your machine and you turn your refrigeration on, it's still a very liquidy mix. So whatever you put in there, it's going to kind of sink to the bottom, but the dasher's going to keep it churning and going, but you'll still have a few that kind of sit at the bottom. So if you wait a couple of minutes into your batch where it's a little bit thicker, then you can put in your inclusions, and that way it's going to stay more suspended into your product and of course mix a lot better, and you might only have 1 or 2 pieces of cookie left versus a little handful of it. So I actually did that this weekend when I was running mine, and I added Butterfingers. I set a timer on my oven. I use my oven timer, guys, not Steve's fancy one, for 3 minutes, and I come back and I dump the Butterfinger in, and none was left.
Wow.
Yep.
Hey, along the lines of what you're saying, Ken, can you put up, Ken is our IT man, you know that, in Texas.
I do.
Ken, can you put up a picture of the original Emery Thompson patent? As you're seeing it now, since I'm imagining Ken has put it up, you see a vertical cylinder, and we filled from the top, and it had a big tank next to it, which is too involved. But that was the first patented batch freezer. It had a flaw in it that you were just alluding to, is Newton's law of gravity. You pour chips in the top of the cylinder, back to my water tub. You put chips into the top, and as it processes, guess what? They all fall to the bottom. That's why Emery Thompson in 1919, a very long time ago, took the vertical cylinder and turned it sideways, like you see behind me, front to back, so that the motion of the agitator mixes all those nuts and cookies. If you've got a vertical cylinder, no matter what anybody tells you, Newton's law, what goes up must come down. But my last question was, can I hire someone to come out to Colorado and do a general maintenance call on my machine? Sure, we could do that, but why would you spend all that money? The key to Emery Thompson batch freezers, and I know Christi has shown you this a lot of times, the key to Emery Thompson batch freezers are they're so simple and there's so little to do. So you have these springs that push the blades out against the walls. They go on like that, and that's it. You don't need to hire someone at $80 or $100 an hour to do this. I have great faith in you. I know you can do it. You don't need to hire someone to change the O-rings or to change the springs, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. But if you have any questions, we're here 7 days a week. We'll be happy to go through it with you.
Now, we don't know each other's questions beforehand.
No, we don't. Did I just take yours?
No, you did not. But it plays off of it. So it was very, kind of actually glad. So, some people ask, what kind of training do I need when I buy an Emery Thompson? There's really not a whole lot to it. Just like Steve said, it's very simple. It's very easy. We are here for you, pretty much 24/7 when we can. I know Steve and I and Mike, we both work until probably 10:30. I know there's been a couple times I've answered emails at 1 o'clock in the morning because I know there's a time difference. So we try to work with you on that. But you don't need any training. And if you ever have questions, you can give us a call. And then, of course, we have over 500 videos that you can watch on YouTube. And the machine themselves, the CB350 machines and larger, all have how-to videos. They will show you how to change your springs and your O-rings, even how to make ice cream. There's a lot of questions that you have. The machine can actually answer them for you by just watching those videos. And it's a great training tool, too, for your new hires and new employees. Just tell them, sit and watch those videos as well. But there's really not much to it. You never need a training class. We do have seminars that you can attend, but it's more for, learning to get into the business. But as far as buying the machine, it comes with everything you need and you're plug and go, ready to go.
Batch freezers are incredibly simple machines compared to soft serve machines or anything else out there. Ours, we have just had 119 years of perfecting simple. That's what we do. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.